called to order. Can we have the roll?
Danielle Bailey.
Here.
Andre Spinelli.
Here.
Jared Gardner.
Here.
Aaron O'Quinn.
Here.
Radhika Krishna.
Here.
Jim Winchester.
Here.
Scott Pullis.
Here.
Jeff Ron.
Here.
Greg Strike is excused. You have a quorum. Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Commissioner Krishna, seconded by Commissioner Ron. Call for a vote. And that motion passes. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I want to bring the Commission's attention to the email from Ryan Yell that should be in front of you. As some background, this relates to case 2021-0087. That was a return from the Board of Adjustments to the Planning and Zoning Commission. At that time, they said that they did not agree with the board's finding that there was a housing shortage in Girdwood. Then following that, at our meeting, we were instructed in our packet to note that objection. However, it believes we had a slight misinterpretation. So at the time, the commission chose not to strike that finding. However, I've later been informed that that striking of the finding from the Board of Adjustments overrides ours, and so that you'll see in our consent agenda that on those resolution that finding is not included. If members of the commission want to pull this resolution to discuss that further, they can. However, I've also been told by staff that we are okay to proceed as it currently reads, and that I believe our full decision and what we talked about at the meeting will be passed along. So if any member of the commission would like to pull the resolution to either add a finding or for further discussion, you can do that now. So if anyone would like to pull that from the consent agenda, just let me know. Yep. You'll need a motion to pull that item from the consent agenda. I believe there is. Commissioner Ron, are you looking to speak or to make a motion?
Both at once, if that would be okay, Madam Chair.
Yes.
With respect to the consent agenda, I move that the commission pull item D1B, Resolution 2021-027 from the consent agenda for future discussion and consideration with respect to the language that staff has provided for our consideration.
There is a motion to pull that item from the consent agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Krishna. I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote. All right, and yep, so that motion failed. It will be included in the consent agenda. Moving on to our next item on the agenda, disclosures. Commissioner Pullis, do you have any disclosures?
No disclosures.
Commissioner Winchester, do you have any disclosures?
I was absent from all three cases on the consent agenda, so I'll be abstaining from that.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Quinn, do you have any disclosures?
No conflicts, but I was absent for case number 2021-0067. I'll be abstaining from voting on that on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Commissioner Gardner, do you have any disclosures?
Yes, thank you. I was absent for case numbers 2020-0097 and 2021-0087, and will abstain from those cases on the consent agenda.
Commissioner Spinelli?
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Krishna?
No disclosures.
Why am I blanking on your last name right now? Commissioner Ron? Oh, Commissioner Ron. I don't know why I was blanking on your last name. Do you have any disclosures?
Nothing to disclose, and yes, it's Ron as the last name. Thank you.
It's been a long day already. All right, and I also have no disclosures, and somehow I remembered to state that, so things are looking up. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, the consent agenda, which is as laid out in our agenda. Is there a motion to approve? If someone just wants to raise their hand if they would like to make a motion, I will call on them. Oh, never mind, we might be there. Motion by Commissioner O'Quinn, and a second by Commissioner Polis. Call for a vote. And that motion passes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, it's case 2021-0077. Before I turn to staff for a report, I'll go ahead and outline the procedure by which the public may speak to the commission at its meetings. That procedure is as follows. After the staff presentation is completed on public hearing items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. Persons who wish to testify will follow the time limits established in the commission rules of procedure. Petitioners, including all of his or her representatives, will receive 10 minutes. Part of this time may be reserved for rebuttal. Representatives of groups, such as community councils and PTAs, will receive 5 minutes. Individuals will receive 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the commission. An individual may have appeal rights relating to any action the Planning and Zoning Commission takes, except for commission recommendations to the Assembly, which are not appealable. Appeals must be filed with the clerk's office within 20 days after approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission of the resolution, which is the commission's final decision. A fee for the appeal is required at the time of filing. Staff, can we hear the report?
Thank you, Chair. This is a request for a conditional use permit for 7 dwelling units per acre in the GR1 Alyeska Highway Mixed Residential District. The petitioner is seeking to subdivide the existing parcel into 2 lots to construct a single-family home on the new lot on the west side adjacent to Sprout Road. There's an existing fourplex that was built in 2006 on the east half of the property next to the Alyeska Highway. The resulting subdivision would place the fourplex on a little over half an acre, about 25,000 square feet, which in Girdwood necessitates this conditional use. The GR1 district requires a conditional use for between 4 and 8 dwelling units per acre. If it's less than 4 dwelling units per acre, it's permitted by right and just the land use permit. But because of this subdivision, it's creating the need for this application before you for conditional use. A condition of approval of the preliminary plat is number 4, obtain a conditional use to allow the existing fourplex 4-unit multifamily dwelling to exceed 4 dwelling units per acre in the GR1 district. None of the reviewing agencies object to approval of this conditional use. The State of Alaska Fire Marshal's Office requires permit approval for the fourplex, and this is a recommended condition of approval in this report. 97 public hearing notices were mailed. One neighbor responded with a comment in support of granting the conditional use. Also, the Girdwood Board of Supervisors adopted a resolution supporting this application on January 20th. Those can be found on pages 48 and 49 of your packet. The staff analysis, the department finds that all the approval criteria for a conditional use are met, and the department's recommending approval of this conditional use for 7 dwelling units per acre in the GR1 district, subject to conditions of approval 1, 2, and 3 on page 5 of your packet. So just to restate this, approval of this conditional use will allow the petitioners, Brett and Patty Wilbanks, to record their preliminary plat and to build a single-family home for themselves on half of their property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Ron, I got it right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice job. Ms. McLaughlin, thank you for the succinct report. Question, if I could direct your attention to page 3 of the staff packet. Item number 4, there's a statement that I would appreciate a little clarity on, as already tonight we've had the opportunity to derive some more clarity around the status of housing in Girdwood. It stated more multifamily housing of this type is needed in Girdwood because of the shortage of housing. Could you help me understand, is that just a general statement? Because my understanding of the resolution is that there is an existing fourplex and the proposal is to create a single-family residence.
This is just a general statement. Through my work, it's become clear that there needs to be more housing in Girdwood. It's a sort of an obvious thing when you talk to Glacier Realty or people that live in Girdwood. What I received in phone calls was a desire for the type of housing that this fourplex is welcomed by the community and this family and their future home too.
Okay, so it's fair to interpret that as with respect to the existing fourplex, not the new single-family house that's being or would be developed.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. This is the existing fourplex is the type of multifamily housing that's desired by the community because it's a well-built, beautiful, a fourplex, and it doesn't look like apartments or anything.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Commissioner Spinelli?
Yeah, condition number 3, to obtain approval from the State Fire Marshal. This just seems a little odd on an existing building to require that. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that or give us some background.
The State Fire Marshal's office is already pretty far along and is indicated that they, after an inspection, they're very likely to approve the structure. It's a permit that's necessary before we can grant the conditional use.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, could we hear from the petitioner?
So my name is Brett Wilbanks, and with Patty, and we are the property owners trying to subdivide this lot. I would say that agree with and support the department's recommendation and staff's recommendation to move ahead with this. It just seems that it's a great natural barrier, and this is how we ended up with the way the lot topology is, and this is how we ended up with the sizing. No real changes to the existing Alyeska Highway side of this, and hope to then have a clear lot in the back to develop potentially in the future. So, yeah, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for the petitioner?
Okay.
Commissioner Spinelli.
How old is the existing fourplex?
2006.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I see no other questions in the queue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Are there any members of the public wishing to testify? All right. I believe you have 9 minutes and 16 seconds to rebut all of that testimony. If you would like to say anything further, you have the floor.
I would just probably add that we have the support of our neighbors, so everybody was pretty much on board with this. Yeah, we don't see any real changes at all, so it's just status quo for the property.
Thank you for your testimony. Turning to the commission, what's the will of the body? Commissioner O'Quinn.
In the matter of case number 2021-0077, I move to approve a conditional use for the 7 dwelling units per acre in the GR1 district, subject to conditions 1 through 3 shown on page 5 of the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Quinn. Seconded by Commissioner Gardner. Would anyone like to speak to the motion? Commissioner Krishna.
Sure, I'll add some findings. It appears that this request meets the approval criteria that we see on pages 2 through 4. And additionally, I'd like to note that we received a resolution of support from the Girdwood Board of Supervisors, a letter of support from a neighbor, and no comments of opposition.
Seeing no one else in the queue, I will call for a vote. And that motion passes. I'd like to thank the petitioner for coming all the way down here. All right. Just waiting for our system to clear up to entertain more motions. Motion to adjourn. Oh, I believe that we have a comment to be introduced.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm interested in getting out of here as well, but just wanted to perhaps test the waters around what was put forward before us by staff, and if the board would have interest in taking it up in some manner. I don't know if we're able to do so without a consent agenda or an approval to make. But you may have noticed that I've had a little difficulty over the issue. When the case was originally heard, my position was that not enough information or data was presented for me to recognize that component of the amendment regarding housing shortages in Girdwood. That's why I put forward the motion to pull and wanted to work through that process. Obviously, that wasn't the will of the board. So I guess the long-winded question is it now a done deal and behind us, or is there still opportunity to get clarity on this?
I believe it is now a done deal. I'll turn to staff, and I do know that there is an ability to reconsider, but I'm not sure if that actually applies to resolutions as approved. Do you know that, Mr. McLaughlin?
Through the chair, I've never been asked the question about spreading notice or asking for immediate reconsideration of a resolution. I could look in the code to see if it talks about a vote, but
Yeah. I will follow up with staff and Commissioner Ron in email afterwards to outline the requirements, if there are any. but
Through the chair, a few things. As far as being able to discuss it, the appeal period begins now that the resolution's been approved. So usually there is no discussion until appeal period closes, in case there is an appeal. So it's really still considering the decision. We do not have a meeting on October 4th, but we will have to hold a special meeting to approve tonight's case, the resolution. So I'll be contacting you guys to get together for a special meeting at lunch maybe or something, and we'll provide pizza and whatever it takes. But we just need 5 members to be able to approve that reso.
Commissioner Ron, are you back in the queue?
I am not, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Ron, second by Commissioner Winchester. Seeing no objection, we are adjourned.